Hello everybody, my name is Emma, as some of you guys may know, and if you don't know, it's okay, it's a big class. And today I'm going to be presenting my Unessay to you guys. What I did my Unessay on is I did it on Pathology Memoirs. Texts that I've decided to focus on are guts. I can't remember the authors' names right now, so I'm just going to put them on the screen if I figure out how. Anyway, how I decided to show my ideas and how I decided to show how these books show off pathology memoirs, or show pathology memoirs, or are pathology memoirs, I should say, is I decided to make a lesson plan. I'm going to attempt to teach pathology memoirs to students in middle school, and I'm going to have made an assignment for them to do, an assignment outline, a grading scale, and everything, which are already made, and I will get into the juicy details of those assignments once I dive into the lesson plan with you guys. So hopefully I have the lesson plan over here. So the focus, or I guess I should say goal for this, students will analyze guts as a pathology memoir. Even though they don't fully know what a pathology memoir is, I will kind of put the word out there to them and see what they do with it. Exploring how Reina's experiences with anxiety, stomach issues, and personal challenges shape her story. They will connect her journey to the broader concept of pathology memoirs and discuss how personal experiences with illnesses are represented in literature. And once we are done wrapping this up, and once we're done with their lesson, they will get a chance to write about their own experiences and write their own pathology memoir dealing with illnesses or injuries. And obviously the materials they will need are copies of guts, chart paper or whiteboard markers, because they will be doing group work, exit ticket handouts, so I can see my students' understandings of this concept and see if some of them will need some extra support or not. And some learning objectives, and understanding what pathology memoirs is kind of like a huge staple and kind of the main focus of this lesson. And learning how to write their own will be one. I'm going to do a little bit of a quick rundown of the structure. So obviously I'm going to ask them what a pathology memoir is, what do they think it is, etc. We'll be writing the term on the board. I'll ask the students what they think it means, and then I myself will define it as a memoir that focuses on illness, disability, or medical condition and how it impacts a person's life. And then I'll give some examples. And then I want my students to understand Reina's journeys, her challenges, and her growth. And then I'll ask them what are some physical and emotional struggles Reina faces in the book. I will write responses on my whiteboard, and then they will write theirs on their whiteboard. I forget to add something very crucial, so I'm going to just spit it out really quick so I'm not going too over the time limit here. And for the students who struggle with writing, they can voice their answers to me, like once we get to that point, they don't have to write it at all, or if they somehow can, they can show their answer in whatever way they feel most comfortable. Or they don't have to say anything at all if they don't want to. I will also discuss how our stomach issues and anxiety are connected. And then I'll give them a chance to do small group work where they each pick a scene that shows one of Reina's challenges and explains how it helps us understand her emotions and growth. And then I'll discuss why we even read the story, or why Reina decided to tell the story. And then reflection activity, this will be their exit ticket. The question will be, have you ever read or watched something that helped you understand a medical or emotional challenge better? The exit prompt, what did you learn from Reina's story that you think is important for others to know? And I have provided them an final assignment overview. This is their final assignment for the year. This assignment is their personal pathology memoir. Students will be asked to write or video a personal experience when they were sick or hurt, whether they scratched their knee, had a cold, or had to go to the doctor. Write or speak how they got it and what happened, how they felt, what did they do to do that, and what made them feel better, and if they relate to how Reina felt in the book. So the to-do list is to decide what they want to write about, because I'm sure everyone has dealt with more than one sickness, more than one scratch, more than one hurt. So they have to decide what do they think they can write about better. And then they're going to decide how they are going to present the idea to me. So they can either write it or video it like I'm doing. If it gets approved, which I will approve most of my students' ideas, they can start writing and videoing. And they need to make sure to include Reina's book and talk about her experience and yours. And if they correlate, that's awesome. And then they hand it in. Woohoo! And then overview, students will gain an understanding of what pathology memoir means, and they'll gain an understanding to why authors write pathology memoirs. And I have my grade scale right here, which will be provided to the students in their little package for this assignment. And the grading scale is pretty typical for every middle school grading scale. 3 and 4 is a pretty good understanding of the concept. You either exceed my expectations or you're at my expectations, which both are pretty amazing. 2 is a basic understanding of the information given, which is also fine. 1 is a limited understanding. Then ND is just like they didn't do anything. I'm sure most of us do know about this grading scale from when we were in middle school, and we kind of have this grading scale now in university, but not quite. Okay, and then I'm also providing them an example. I wrote my own pathology memoir outline. This is what I want them to do so they have a better understanding, or like a script almost, of what they want to write about. I just want them to write the jot notes basically, so they know what points to hit and they can check it off if they want. And the colors of all my things that's how I tried to make it a little bit more accessible for students, because sometimes, like, if you have a yellow background with blue writing, that's hard to read, and some students have trouble with their sight. So I made this kind of easier to look at, easy on the eyes. I know I'm enjoying looking at it right now. I can't stop looking at it. The topics for their paragraphs will be: what injury or illness will you be discussing? And then how did it happen? What were you doing? What caused it? How you felt when you were sick/hurt? And then what did you do to make yourself feel better? Again, I wrote examples for the students to kind of have a broad idea of what I'm looking for.